Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to do something completely unique today. Instead of just looking at history from the outside like we usually do, we're going to step directly into a first-person perspective. We're going to experience this source material as if we are literally holding a camera, vlogging our journey in April of 1912, the voyage of the unsinkable. Guys, today I'm about to board the most famous ship in history, the Titanic. Everyone around me genuinely believes this massive ship is unsinkable. Honestly, as I'm preparing to walk up that gangway right now, I'm incredibly excited. But I gotta admit, I'm also a little bit nervous.
Okay, let's dive into this. I actually just jotted this down in my diary. I'm about to board the most famous ship in history. But this journey won't end the way anyone expects. You know, when you're standing right there, camera in hand, the optimism from the crowd is completely blinding. We are documenting history here. But there's this heavy, unspoken anticipation just hanging in the air. We're embarking on what's supposed to be the absolute triumph of modern engineering, completely unaware of the dark shadow looming over us.
I've finally made it to the port, and the scene in front of my lens right now is just breathtaking. I mean, look at this thing. The Titanic is absolutely massive. It literally dominates the entire horizon. All around me, thousands of passengers are trying to board. People are hauling heavy luggage, waving frantically, and saying these really emotional goodbyes to their families on the docks. The energy in the crowd is absolutely electric. This is it. This is the beginning of a truly legendary voyage. As I step onto the ship and point my camera toward the interior, everything feels overwhelmingly luxurious. I'm talking meticulously polished floors, grand staircases that sweep upward like something straight out of a royal palace, and elegant decorations everywhere. I just found my cabin, and while it's a bit small, it's incredibly comfortable. Everywhere I look, people are smiling, celebrating, and they are completely free of worry. And honestly, right now, neither am I. We're surrounded by gold leaf, fine dining, and just endless celebrations. It's intoxicating. But hidden beneath all this incredible beauty was a dangerous flaw. And this brilliantly illustrates the harsh reality of our journey. As we're here documenting this sheer perfection, there is an invisible vulnerability built right into the very bones of this magnificent ship.
It's so easy to see why everyone is brimming with confidence. The amenities I'm looking at are completely mind-blowing for our time. State-of-the-art gyms, world-class restaurants, massive, comfortable lounges. And guys, there is even a swimming pool on board. For April 1912, this feels like we've stepped into a time machine to the distant future. Walking through these halls, capturing these marvels through the viewfinder, it's absolutely no wonder people around me firmly believe this ship could never, ever sink.
It's dinner time now. I have brought the camera down into the dining hall, and it is packed to the brim. Wealthy passengers are dressed to the nines, enjoying incredibly expensive, totally relaxed meals. The clinking of crystal glasses and the sound of laughter are just filling the room. It's a scene of pure, unadulterated comfort. But what we don't realize as we sit here enjoying rich desserts in this brightly lit room is that far ahead in the dark ocean, a massive danger is silently waiting for us. I've just stepped out onto the deck for my first night at sea. The stars above us are absolutely incredible. They look like diamonds scattered across black velvet. The ocean is completely calm, and the air feels so peaceful. I'm leaning over the railing right now, looking down at the still water. But the silence out here is almost unnatural. It's almost too peaceful. The next day arrives, and life on board just continues completely normally. The sun is shining, passengers are out lounging on the deck chairs, reading books, playing games, and taking photos, just like I am with my diary vlog. Everyone is just so caught up in the novelty and the pure luxury of this voyage. We're all completely oblivious to the fact that our time is rapidly running out. But then, things slowly begin to change. This afternoon, while walking the decks, I actually overheard some crew members murmuring about iceberg reports up ahead. But strangely, nobody seems concerned at all. They just brush it off like it's nothing. Then, as evening falls, the weather starts getting noticeably colder. And by late night, the air is literally biting, and the ocean feels absolutely freezing. The environment is shifting all around us. It's super late at night now. The deck is entirely empty, and most of the passengers are sound asleep in their warm, cozy cabins. I'm looking out at an ocean that is completely, terrifyingly dark. The chill in the air is just piercing right through my coat. Something doesn't feel right anymore. The whole atmosphere has shifted from luxurious comfort to this heavy, creeping sense of dread. And then, suddenly, boom. Out of nowhere, I feel this strange,
deep vibration rattle right through the floorboards. It isn't a huge, deafening crash, you know? It's more of a grinding, sickening, shuddering feeling. But it's undeniable. Everyone who happens to be awake notices it immediately. My stomach completely drops. The Titanic has just hit something. I turn the camera down the hall, and now, what's really interesting about this is the immediate chilling contrast. Passengers are starting to wander out of their rooms in their pajamas. They're mostly just confused. A few are even laughing about the bump, treating it like it's some minor inconvenience or a joke. But I pan the camera over to the crew, and they are absolutely not laughing. They're rushing intensely across the decks, and the tight, pale looks on their faces reveal pure panic. I pull aside and just watch the officers. You can literally see the terrifying reality setting in. Word is rapidly spreading among the crew that the captain has just learned the unthinkable. Multiple compartments below deck are already rapidly flooding with freezing seawater. The very design that was supposed to save us has failed. I can barely catch my breath as the officers realize instantly that this situation isn't just a minor accident. It's desperately, fatally serious. And then the massive, horrifying realization hits me like a physical blow to the chest. Titanic is actually sinking. The unsinkable ship, this floating palace of the future, is going down into the freezing dark. My heart is pounding out of my chest. What do I do? Where am I supposed to go? The evacuation begins, and it is absolute chaos. Crew members start frantically handing out these thick, rigid life jackets. We're being pushed and ordered to rush up to the freezing boat deck. Then, the agonizing process of actually boarding the lifeboats begins. But the panic is wildly uneven. Some people are rushing the boats, fighting to get in, while others, still blindly trusting the ship's reputation, stubbornly refuse to believe the Titanic is doomed and won't even step foot in them. I realize with utter dread, every single minute matters now. As I film the deck, I can physically see that the front of the ship is noticeably lower than it was just 20 minutes ago. The actual angle of the deck is changing beneath my feet. The dark, freezing water of the Atlantic is slowly but inevitably taking over the bow. The reality is undeniable now. Things are getting worse by the second. I run toward one of the few remaining lifeboats. The scene is just heartbreaking. The air is filled with the sounds of people crying in absolute terror. I'm watching as families are being forcibly separated. Husbands saying goodbye to wives and children, having no idea if they will ever see them again. The biting, freezing air is burning my lungs, but the pure, unadulterated fear everyone around me, that is even colder. Let's see how this builds. Suddenly, the Titanic tilts drastically forward. Gravity asserts its terrifying power over everything. I can hear the violent crashing as heavy, luxurious wooden furniture begins sliding and smashing across the slanted decks. The entire ship is literally groaning under the immense strain. We're running out of time. The tension is at its absolute peak right now. The water is rising so fast, creeping right up the stairwells we were casually walking down just a few hours ago. I have to make a choice right now. I scramble, I push through the screaming crowd, and I make a terrifying, desperate leap into a lowering lifeboat just as it clears the railing. I'm sitting in the small wooden lifeboat now, shivering uncontrollably in the freezing air. I point my lens back at the massive ship. We all just sit here in stunned, horrified silence. We watch as the giant, glowing silhouette of the Titanic rises higher and higher into the air, before slowly, agonizingly, sliding down, disappearing forever into the black, freezing Atlantic Ocean. The unsinkable Titanic is gone, where there was just a massive, floating palace full of light and laughter and music. There is now only complete, devastating darkness. The silence that follows the sinking is heavier than anything I have ever experienced in my life. It is absolute finality. I am sitting out here in the freezing night, just waiting for rescue. I survived. I have my life. But looking around at the dark, empty ocean, the tragic aftermath really sets in. So many of the smiling people I filmed just hours ago in the dining hall, so many of those separated families, they didn't make it home. So the crucial point is the staggering, devastating reality. 1,500, over 1,500 men, women, and children lost their lives in the freezing water that night. The sheer scale of the tragedy is almost too massive to comprehend, especially when you think about how we were just walking those warm, polished floors right beside them. As we close our diary of this horrific night, I have to ask you, put yourself in my shoes for a second.
Imagine standing on that slanting deck, hearing the music play as the freezing water rises, clutching a rigid life jacket in the bitter cold. What would you have done in my place? Think about that survival decision. Thank you for experiencing this incredibly intense journey with me on today's Explainer.